And that's it, we're live. Hey there, people on YouTube. This is your buddy Junior speaking. I have here with me this afternoon Leandro, João, and Vinicius. And today we're going to be talking about Precisa. But first things first, I need to explain the rules of Talk and Talk. And you guys probably already know, but just in case there's somebody watching on YouTube right now and they don't know what the rules are, we have pretty much 3 rules. The rule number 1 is, this right now is an immersion, it's not a class. We have classes with teachers like me, but they are in other moments. Right now, we're only going to have a conversation about a topic using questions to guide us through this conversation, which means that I'm not going to teach you anything, but you're going to learn by speaking and practicing and observing how other people are going to speak the language here as well. And since this is not a class, and that's actually a rule, even for classes, rule number 2 is no corrections are allowed. So no corrections at all. Why we don't correct? Because it's, how can I put it? Annoying. People correcting you is very annoying and people stop you of what you're talking and, so it makes the situation awkward. So we avoid correcting people on Talk and Talk as well. And rule number 3 is that we are respectful to everybody. Doesn't matter who you are and where you come from. We're all different, and that's what makes TNT so cool, because we all share different experiences and different stories and different points of view with each other about the topics that we discuss. And I created my own rule, which is rule number 4, a little rule, just little, which is, if you're doing Talk and Talk and you're not having fun, you're doing Talk and Talk wrong, okay? This is a place for you to have fun, make friends, have a laugh, and really enjoy the time you spend in here. So these are the rules, you guys already know. So I'm going to be sending the questions to you right now in the chat. I've prepared 10 questions for us to discuss the topic here today. And while I'm getting the questions, I'm going to ask you guys to introduce yourselves. I'm going to say hello to Paulo, who just joined us. Paulo, can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yes, teacher. Hello, teacher. Hello, guys. I'm Paulo Franco. I live in Fortaleza. I have a wife and 1 child. And I work as a cybersecurity analyst or IT analyst. And it's a pleasure to be here because this is a second week in Talk and Talk, and I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for all.
Thank you, Paulo. It's nice to have you here for one more class, and I really hope you enjoy. Now, Mr. Vini, could you introduce yourself to us, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Vinicius. I'm from Avaré. It's a small city in São Paulo State. I'm living in Curitiba right now. It's a sunny day. It's different day here. I like run. Sometimes I like play video games. I'm 33 years old. I'm on TNT since I really don't remember. It's a long time, I guess. And that's it, guys.
All right, amazing. Nice to have you here once again. And Avaré is so close here. One day we might, hang out. We are starting to do presential meetups on Talk and Talk. So next in October, we'll have a presential meeting in São Paulo, and then we're going to start having in other cities like Belo Horizonte, like Curitiba, like Fortaleza, and other cities. So maybe I'm thinking of starting a hub, Talk and Talk hub here in Campinas. I actually live here in Uberlândia, but Campinas is the biggest city in the region. So we might hang out one day in a presential TNT, Vini.
Yeah, maybe. Here, it's an amazing city, Curitiba, but I know São Paulo as well, Curitiba as well. Do you live in Hortolândia, right?
Hortolândia, yes.
Yes, I know where is it, but I never visited the city, I guess.
It's pretty cool. We like to call it Horto City.
Yeah, yes, it's a funny way to call.
All right. Thank you for introducing yourself. Now, Leander, could you introduce yourself to us, please?
Yeah, I'm Eliander. I'm from Manaus. I like travel, exercise, physical activities, and that's it. My first week here, but no, Andy is very challenging for me, and I like this. I like this style challenge.
It's awesome. It's nice to have you here. Happy that you took the challenge, that you're taking the challenge of speaking English every day live on YouTube, and you're doing pretty great. You've been doing pretty great this week, this first week for you. So congrats, and thank you for joining us here today. And now, Mr. João, would you introduce yourself to us, please?
Hi, folks. My name is João. I'm from Campo Grande. I'm a student, and I'm pretty much here to learn and to practice English. And I'm very grateful to be here today.
Amazing. Very good. Nice to have you here with us too, and I hope you enjoyed this conversation. So, I am Junior Finam. I'm 20 years old. Most of you guys already know me. I'm an English teacher, but now I'm working here on Talk and Talk as an English teacher and also social media. And I study computer engineering, so it's a big mess. I work with languages, media, marketing, and study computing. One day I'm going to choose something to do, but right now I'm doing everything, and it's been pretty amazing, especially this part here where I get to talk to you guys every single day and help you learn English and share and also listen to such amazing experiences you guys bring to us here in the community. It's been awesome. And now we're going to get started in the topic. I'm going to ask question number one to, let's see, Vinny. What do you know about prisons? And have you ever been to a prison before? It doesn't have to be as a prisoner, okay? Maybe in a visiting day or something.
Yeah. I've never been in a prison, for sure, I guess. I know about the prisons. I guess I get some causes in the prison, unfortunately, but it's complicated. And I don't know. I don't like prisons. I don't agree with the way they do this, how they treat them in the person there. And I think the prison it's just a way to make a become a worse person that you was when you came in there. Like it's not a good way to resolve the things, but it's a way that we have now. And I guess Brazilian has have a third or second prison population in the world. I guess the first it's USA, and it's like it's not a great thing for Brazil. And you're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, we're one of the biggest prison populations in the world, along with the United States and also China. And that's really not. We have so many rankings, and we choose like the worst to be in.
Yes, it's like every day it's one more 7-1 for Brazil. Like every day it's a normal.
Yes. No, Vinny, can you choose a person to answer the question next?
Sure. What do you think, Leander? What you know about the prisons?
Oh my god. I'm here thinking about what can I say, and I don't know. I don't know about prisons, and I think it's needed. We need uh, we need the, oh my god, to have prisons in the country, and it's very important for security, national security, and solving many problems with trouble people.
Yeah, but you think the prison really solved the case? You know, like a person stole someone or did something wrong. You think this really solved the problem? Like you going there, pay your time like 5 years, 10 years, whatever. You think the person that's go out of there, it's really a different person? You know, like will be a better person. You think that about the prisons?
I think depend the problem, because in most cases the people's go out prison worth maneira. How can I say maneira in English?
Wait.
Way. Way they enter in prison, but we need to review the laws in general way, because have crimes, as, for example, one person subtract one sandwich, example, and these persons sell in English, seal.
Selar, like to close something,
Yeah,
would be to seal, yeah, or to enclosure.
the same seal who persons. Oh my god. I don't know this word.
Fala.
Homicídio. Eu sei essa palavra, mas não veio. I think this. I search this word now.
Yeah, jail, or there's another word for it too. In the same.
Murder.
What?
Homicídio, murder.
Oh, murder. Yes.
Murder.
It's a big murder. Right. What do you think, Paul, about this? What do you know about prisons? Have you ever been to a prison before? And also, on Vinicius' question, do you think prison is a good way to solve the problem of people breaking the law, and does it make them good people?
So I've never been in prison, but I think Vinicius bring to us a good point to the debate, because the prison, when we see the statistics, we probably third or second in around the world, the prison population. But the principal point is the prison. The main point is become the person more good, become the person solve these problems. I think the prison, it's a place when you can work and you pay for the things you consume, food, water, energy. The prisoners work for this necessidades.
For
que eles
these. Mhm.
I think this thing solve two problems. He you have something to fill your brains, your minds, and they can probably become better person when you bring work to prison.
Hmm.
In this moment, if you subtract a sandwich, like example Eliander, and you to take a jail, you probably know other persons that crimes it's very worse that than subtract a sandwich. For example, murders, terrorists, something like that. And when you subtract a sandwich, you go to a school of crime, and that's a problem we have in our prisons. And you, João, what do you think?
Um, I've never been in prison, and I think there is not not an agreement between the countries, among the countries throughout the world, because we can see, talking about prisons, some working cases of enforcement of law in, for example, Singapore, China, or Japan, that those countries have very, very rigid laws, and not so many crimes, and not so many criminal activities like in Brazil. But we also have the opposite. Like, we also have in New Zealand or Australia or Canada that has not so rigid system. There are not so rigid laws, but it is working. So I I think the great point here is how we can solve the problem of enforcement and the problem of incarceration. So the big problem is, which one of those two examples, which one of those international examples we will gonna choose? And there is a lot of people that thinks we need to choose like the example of Canada or the example of New Zealand. A lot of people that think we could choose, and you would be better to choose the example of the United States or China or Japan or Singapore. So for me, there's no the for me the what can I see is that it's like some agreement, it's like some concession, and it's like some between both of the parts, like to address the problem and to think. And I think we need to think outside the box sometimes also. And yeah, even in Brazil we have, and also in Brazil we have a lot of disparities between prisons. Like, if we see the federal prisons, it's like it's like the United States. It's like it's very technological, and it gets to a point that the officer doesn't even need to contact with the prisoner. Doesn't, if like, it's all automatic. And in contrast, we see some state prisons that for that it's lacking everything. Like, it's lacking the basic things. It's like security for the employers, the employees. It's like security for the employees. It's lacking. And for me, I think we needed to separate things. We needed to separate the people who is already in the organized crime, who is already like the head of the organized crime, and separate people that has committed like simple deletes, like I don't know, I don't know, but in Brazil, I think people who committed corruption, the laws are much more lenient than with people who committed, like, I don't know, what's the name of Robert? I think it's Robert, who thieved a pen or I don't know anything else. And there's also a problem because the poor people are much subjected to the system than rich people. And yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, the system tends to be a lot harsher and a lot harder on people who have, not saying that certain conditions make the person makes crime viable or makes a person have the right to commit crime, but the system tends to be a lot more difficult for people, for poor people, for people in more difficult situations than to people who have access and have influence, and which is something that also you mentioned about crime lords, about the head of organized crime. These people, they actually like being in prison, because if you're out on the street, you're subject to a lot of things, but when they are in prison, they are secure because they have a very low risk of being attacked in prison, and that's where they usually control the organized crime from. It's crazy. But one thing that you guys mentioned a lot, and that Paulo said, and also like Vinicius, that a person is like, does the slightest crime, sometimes steals a sandwich, like you guys said, and then the person is put in the same cell as a murderer, as a drug dealer, and this person is pretty much going to a school of crime. Maybe like a 20-year-old person like me who did a small crime, got 5 years of jail, is going to spend 5 years with a lot of people that have done a lot of worse things. And these people can either hurt this person or teach this person to do worse things. And I've seen it from experience, because my uncle, he's been to prison many times, and he's in prison again, by the way. And every time he goes to prison, he comes back with new friends. And sometimes he escapes prison with his friends, or he gets out of prison with his friends, and then they already have a plan to do some kind of new crime, stealing a store or a bank or something like that. So it's pretty much, going to prison for these guys is like networking. It's like coming to TNT. They're coming to practice and to share experiences,
Teacher, I think that sometimes the things that are lead of gang, this person are very charismatic. They have attractive to other guys, and the other guys see, oh man, this guy is super. This guy is cool. I need to be more close to this guy. So this thing, there's a huge problem that we said before. So for this is a huge problem.
It really is. It really, really is. And guys, we're going to get more into these details in the next questions, but right now I'm going to ask you guys, why do you think prison is the most common way of punishment to people who committed a crime? Because we do have other options, I think, right? Or maybe not. So let's ask here, João, why do you think prison is the most common way of punishment to people who committed a crime? And could there be other ways to do so, to punish people for crimes other than going to jail?
If there is, I'm not aware of, like, other way to punish. I know there are some different different kind of addressing the problem, like we can send to reformatories or educational systems, etc. And nowadays we have like I don't know how to say this in English, but a lot of politicians who committed corruption get used to use this, like in right above their feet. Let's see what's the name.
Oh yes, it's an ankle monitor.
Yeah, it's this electronic ankle. I'm seeing now.
Yeah,
This is
the ankle
this is
monitor.
this is other form of other manner of punishment, like the use of electronic ankle, and who they created. And I think why it's the most common way of punishment to people who committed a crime.
Yes. Why do you think jail is such because every country has jails and it's the most common way. A person does something wrong, you send them to jail. Why do you think it's so common to send people to jail? Do you think jail is a good idea? Like, do we have other options? So maybe putting ankle monitors and leaving people at home, or sending them to reformatories, to educational facilities. Why do you think jail is the one?
I think we could not manage to create another way. We could not manage to create another way to send, for example, to set apart of society terrorists, people who committed murders. Of course, there is this new practices of punishment, like the ankle, the electronic ankle. It's just other thing. Yeah, it's ankle. There is these new manners of punishment, but we could not solve how to punish in other way people who committed much higher crimes, and people who committed transgressions against society in the most vile way. And I don't know why, but I think I don't know why, but I think it exists for minor crimes, but for higher crimes, in my opinion, we could we don't have we couldn't we could not I don't know any other way we could manage this. And you, Eliander?
What is the question?
Number 2, why do you think prison is the most common way of punishment to people who committed a crime? And could there be better ways to punish people other than prison?
I think is the common way of punishment, because the freedom is the hugest value who one person have, and is very pain for any person lost your freedom. I think this.
All right, nice. What do you think, Pini?
I guess the prison it's most common because it's the easier, it's you don't think too much. It's a better solution, it's just to get the person put in there and forget the person for a lot of years. So you are doing the same thing every time, and expecting the different results. So it's like stupid, in fact. And but it's a easier way, it's easy. You just use something that it's a long time in the history, then you think a better way to, I don't know if the punishment it's the best word, but to make the person pay for something. And there's a lot of different ways. I think if you needed to for someone pay for something, I guess to help find a way, of course, to help the community, like building new houses, clean the streets, or something like that. It's a better way, because prisons it's really expensive for the government. Of course, some countries has a private prison, like USA. I guess the most of prison there are private, but it's a business. So the it's a business. It's easier if you have less um, pay less for everyone goes in there. So I don't know. I have no right answer for that. A better way, but I think we need uh think better. It's like nowadays we just want to be make justice every time. Like we don't think a better way to resolve. Oh, someone needs to go to the prison and the problem is resolved. And I guess everyone said before, the prison res- doesn't it solve anything, I guess. But I don't know a better way. I think we need to think better to than just a prison.
All right, all right. And what do you think, Paulo?
Teacher, I think it's this question about common. I think we need to see historical about the historical thing, because this moment, this point, I think that's only solution that actual currently society to solve this problem, because in the past we needed different kinds of punishment, like I'm sorry, I forget the decapitation, uh, death penalty. I don't know say that. So I know the other countries yet have this kind of punishment, but I think it's more easy to organize the system. I know there are many problems, there are many complexity to be solved, but I think this last easy solve to this problem prison. And if I could be better ways, I bring to us experience in Rio Grande do Norte and Paraná. They have a PAC system prison. The system try to the own prisoners organize and manage a system prison. So this thing I know that the kind of prisoner in this system they are selected by the managers, because prisoners committed low infractions, low crimes. But I think that's an opportunity to study statistical. In this prison, they reduce cost and twice times to no, default prisons. So I think this kind to be studied more, and necessary to be what kind of prison it's good. So that is.
So what you're saying is like in this system, the own inmates, the own prisoners, they operate what's happening in the prison, like doing laundry, cleaning things, cooking, and opening doors, this kind of stuff.
Having keys of the doors, that's a very interesting experience, and the most of cases they can a good results, but like I said, depends the prisoners, depends the kind of crimes they committed. It's very difficult to apply the system in all country. It's improbably.
But that would actually be a very interesting idea of what we said, because we talked already about this thing of like getting a person who committed a minor crime and getting a person who committed a major crime in the same space. And in most cases in prisons, people with more influence, so violent criminals and people with influence, they usually control the space. So murderers, heads of crimes, and people for organized crime and drug dealers, they usually have the most authority and influence inside the prison, and they usually control everything that happens. So giving power to people that in this case wouldn't be so bad inside the prison would be a way to balance. But then it will become a war, you know, influence versus and everything. So it would be a pretty a nice way of separating. See, if you have like prisons for people who committed major crimes and people who committed many minor crimes, and then you have a more organized way, and then for people who committed major crimes, it would even interesting, I think, maybe have it a little bit harder, because in most cases when you go people like bank robbers, organized crime, and drug dealers, it's not the case of like I have a necessity. In some cases people end up in the organized crime because of the place they were born, and because, you know, that's some another part of politics and society. But most people who end up like as drug dealers and this kind of things, they know they have the risk of being arrested, and most times they do it already having in mind that if they go to prison, they're going to be liberated a lot before then their sentences are really. So I do think that maybe like having two ways of different treatment, but then it's really difficult to understand, okay, this person did it in a more innocent way, so the person deserves a better treatment, this other person doesn't. And especially when you're trying to make prison a place to make better people, better citizens, then it's a lot more difficult, because giving different treatments to different kinds of people is kind of unfair. But I agree a lot with what Eliander said and what Vinicius said too. Prison is the easiest way, because you don't think of, when you're putting people in prison, you're not thinking about the people you're putting in there. You're thinking about the rest of us outside, you know. So if you're on a football team and you have a very bad player, and you put this player and you hide this player and don't let this player play, you're not thinking about him. You're thinking about the rest of the team and about the victory. So prison is pretty much putting bad people aside so the rest of community can live in order. So, but you're not really thinking about these kind of people. And also is a very bad punishment, because as Eliander said, I think our freedom is the most precious thing we have. The right of coming and going and doing what we want at all times. And that's something you don't have in prison. So spending like 20 years, everything, the world is changing. People are moving on. There's a lot happening, and you're stuck there, you know, without being able to do anything. I think this is really bad for anyone. So I think prison is also a very harsh way of punishment, like in this sense. Go ahead, Vinny.
And one point that you said, it's important. like we send the person for the prison, and in the prison they are their his own society, like some groups in there we know a lot of, so I won't say, but and they have his own laws, his own society, his own way to solve the things, and we just think, okay, the guy is on the prison and the problem is solved, but it's not true. We in fact we are getting the more weapons to these guys, to take the uh, uh how I can say, it's not a bad person, no, that a person makes some wrong choices. It's in there in the prison, and in there the guy needs to survive, make make a part of any this kind of groups to survive in there. So I think when we send a person to the prison, it's the worst way to solve the case. Of course, depends on the crime, depends on the the person, but we take a person make a wrong choice, or a drug dealer that doesn't know what is really is going on, and we send to the prison, and we have one more person to a sociedade paralela, parallel society or something like that,
Parallel society.
and I guess in some years we will have this kind of society will make the real loss that that's the way that we living in Brazil. Like these groups will really will have the power to change the things in Brazil in the bad way, in fact. But I don't know, guys. I think the prison is the worst way to solve the crimes, and we just getting more and more persons to the crime to become a worse person.
Yeah, really hard. Yes, and thinking of this like is also a parallel society, and it's not like a normal parallel society. You're making a parallel society with a lot of bad people, so the bad influence it's a lot bigger. So even if a person goes there and the person hasn't committed anything that bad, the person is living in a very hostile place, and this person tends to come out worse than they went in, which is something not really that good. Okay. Now we don't have time for many more questions, and we already said a lot, which has been pretty cool. So I'm gonna skip all the way to question number 8, which is also something that has been discussed a little in our country, and I really want to know you guys' opinions about that. Leander, question number 8. In your opinion, what should be the minimum age for criminal responsibility, and why?
So, I think, how can I say this? 16 is 16.
16.
I think 16 is a good age, but we have to take care when I put you on young in jail, because he's learning at all. He's learning everything, and what the companies, what the peoples who stay this young in the jail, we have to take care when about this. But depends of the crime, we take this methodology.
Yeah, we will have to be careful with the punishment. Why? Because we've been talking about how prison sometimes make people worse. So we put a teenager in there. It's going to, you know.
Yes, yes, that is it.
Yeah. All right. Can you choose a person to answer next?
Paulo,
My friend Eliander. So, man, that's a really hot topic. The first thing, I don't have solid opinion about this topic, because I need to see many different opinions, philosophical opinion, biological, sociological opinion. We have different sides of the same problem. But I think in this moment, we stay in a information society. Like Eliander said, 16, you know about all things about the world. You know, and the most important thing I know, when you have 16, you choose your representative politic. So you can choose this, but you not responsible to a crime. It's very uh, wrong. About my opinion, it's very wrong. This sides of the campus, but I think I need stud more. I know the TV and sides of the politics more, try to creating a public opinion. We need to minimum age to be 16, but I think we need to be many sides of this question. So I don't know. Ask this question. And
Yeah,
João,
As Paulo said, I think we live in a society where children and teenagers are becoming mature, in a short amount of time. But I think, like, two things. I think we should take into account this responsibility for teenagers above 16 years old. But I think we cannot send them to the same prisons. I think we could need before to create a system just for them to educate, like not a reformatory, because I've seen a lot of reformatories doing very, very, very controversial policies. So we need to create another option. We need to create an option. And just for major crimes, the second thing, I think, for major crimes, like, we cannot send to prison someone who stole a pen, or someone who, I don't know. I think that's not an option. I think we need to send for major crimes, and not for prisons, and not for the same prison, but for, and not, and as well, not for reformatory. Like, reformatory, for me, it's just another way to call prison. It's simply the same thing, and people are like majoring crime. They're in the same thing, to use me. So, and for example, we have I don't know if you guys have seen this crime. Like, he was a teenager. I think he was in, I don't know where. He was very televisioned in no Fantástico. A teenager killed her friend, like in a high society, in a high society residence. The name, and she could have done. She could have done other things. She doesn't need it to. She didn't need to do this, and she didn't need. And if you see the case, you will know that it was something. It was something very. It was something. It was something. What can I say? It was something that. It was something that you didn't need to do, like kill your best friend or kill for something else. And I think this was a major crime. And to finish my idea, I think we can have minimal age like in 16 years old, but we need different forms to educate.
It was like a not that killing people is necessary, but it was like unnecessary. It was overreacting, right? Like kill a person.
But I think it wasn't something like overreacting. It was something planned. So it was very, yeah, it's a very cruel.
All right. And what do you think, Finny? What do you think should be the I
Minimum
forgot
wage.
the word. Yeah, the minimum
Minimum
wage.
wage. Okay. I guess we can talk about this for hours, and we have no right or wrong answer. I don't know. This question is too much hard. I think if we can say it's 16 or 18, 18 is a concept like we have 200 years ago, and maybe nowadays the society consider a person like a adult just with 24 years old, I guess, like a psychological adult, so it's complicated. I have no right answer. I guess maybe 60. If you can vote, you can may goes to the prison, but I don't know. It's what do you think? What is 16, maybe 18? I don't know. It's hard.
In my personal opinion, I agree with the guys that said 16. And why I agree with the guys that said 16? Because this is an age where the person, even if the person doesn't have maybe political opinions formed, or if the person is still learning how to behave as an adult in a society, is actually a teenager pretty much. But these are people, especially in Brazil, we have this culture where by at 16-year-olds, a lot of teenagers are already driving and drinking.
Yes.
And if this person wants to practice activities that could involve them in seriously with serious consequences, such as maybe hurting somebody or getting in an accident, then I think they should be able to respond criminally for that as well. Don't think the solution will be putting these people in jail, but I do think they should be criminally responsible.
Teacher, and becomes a daddy and mothers too. That's another thing very important. When 16 you have, in the most cases you see guys and girls become fathers and mothers.
Yeah. So then you see the person has already acts like as an adult, doesn't want to respond to the consequences of it as an adult. So you see, but guys, the host of the next meeting just entered the room, which means that it's already time for us to finish, and I forgot. But thank you all for participating. I'm leaving here in the chat the link for the feedback, and I'll try to come up with more questions, and we continue the subject next Friday, all right? So thank you all for participating. Have an amazing weekend. Drink water, don't go to jail, don't commit a crime, okay?
Nice weekend, guys.